आपके जंगल का टाइगर हमारे लिए बहुत खतरा बन चुका है। इसका कोई हल है आपके पास?
जब यहाँ मुसीबत आन पड़ी है तो एक लेडी अफसर को यहाँ भेज दिया है।
मैं सब हैंडल कर लूंगा।
क्या प्लान है आपका?
ये प्लान कुछ नहीं है, गॉड्स गिफ्ट है।
Hi Amit and hi Asta. Thank you for joining me today in what I would call a post-mortem of a film which has got you a lot of critical acclaim. Congratulations for that to begin with.
Thank you.
Thank you, Namrata. Thank you.
What struck me the most, I myself like the film quite a bit, but what struck me the most about the film, and in continuing with the kind of filmmaking I'm seeing from you, Amit, is this kind of dwelling on a certain microcosm, whether it was Soleimani Kida, whether it was Newton, and now when you look at Sherni, you are acutely focusing on a specific universe. Does that kind of challenge you as a filmmaker or inspire you, or do you like being so focused in what you're doing?
I think these things have just happened in an organic way, They were subjects that interested me, and they were subjects that were interesting to me, and those ideas came, and that's how I got into it. Like with Newton, I wanted to do something about democracy, and that's how it happened. With Sherni, Asta had she was the one who led the writing thing, because she wanted to do something about conservation and cooperation. And when the story came, she showed it to me, and then we used to keep discussing various permutations of telling this story. And then finally, this story came.
Mm-hmm. But idea striking you is one thing, story striking you is one thing, but to build that universe, to build that kind of cosmos would require a lot, I presume. And I would want both you and Asta to talk a bit about the process, because, how to get it right. And it's not just to do with you. I find a lot of filmmakers right now in Hindi cinema, so to speak, are being very, very specific in terms of, the space, the place, as much as the story coming out of it. So what goes in building that universe on the screen?
Acha, you're asking, Asta, you're answering, or shall I answer?
I think you go first.
Okay, so see, each story, it completely depends on the story, what world you're creating, whether it is specific or whether it is universal. So with respect to this particular story of Sherni, it had to be set where it was set because of the tiger and because of the jungles, because it was about conservation. And then you have to decide the tone of the film. What is the tone of the film? What is what kind of characters are there in the film? So once these things are written, then you meet these people. And then once you meet people who are in the story, you start tweaking the characters accordingly. You start seeing small details. Then you meet scientists, you meet researchers, you meet forest guards, you meet all villagers, you meet all kinds of people who are stakeholders in the story. And once you start meeting these people, you start understanding the subject in a deeper way. And that's how you pick up these little details. But otherwise, you also have to keep the big picture in mind. What is the big story that you're trying to tell? So it's keeping all these things into mind that help you in building the story world.
And right, as Amit said, I think also when you're writing a film about such a sensitive topic, it's really important to be as specific as possible and also as broad as possible. So it requires a different way of approaching the story. I would call it a more systems approach. You're looking and connecting the dots, and you're trying to, it's almost like an investigation. You're trying to investigate and figure out how does this machinery of conservation and the problems around it, how do they really operate, and who plays what part. So like you rightly said, it is a microcosm, but it also will definitely, because it's a microcosm, it will also reflect the big picture of what's happening around us. It is always related and interconnected.
So, in terms of the nitty-gritty of it, do I assume that you know, the whole aspect of research and to kind of go out and find out things is as time consuming and as important as it is to sit in a corner and write away the script?
I think this script couldn't have been written by just sitting in a corner. I think to approach this, and also it is my training in research and my background in humanities, I can never write fiction out of my head. I need to just like really study a lot of cases and see patterns and then collate that data and then start writing. So I think when you're looking at, you want to show reality, I think it's very important to do field work. It's really important to do desk research. It's really important to talk to experts and have a very layered approach and methodology while approaching the script.
So Amit, is it that you know, somewhere the filmmaking itself also becomes kind of inhabits a cross section, say, between fictional filmmaking and documentary filmmaking?
In this film, some of it has a cinema verite influences, like because we are working not only with professional actors from Bombay, but also actors from other parts of India, and also people who are working for the first time in front of a camera. So some of them were playing characters which were totally fictitious, and the dialogues were written. But some of the people, like the guards, for example, we couldn't expect people to remember long lines. So a lot of it had to come from their personal experiences. Like, for example, the scene where one female guard is explaining to the other actor about how to catch a tiger. Now, that is something we had written it down, but then when we were on set, we asked the lady to just explain it from her the way she would explain it. So these kind of things happen when you're there. So I think some of it, some of these elements could be seen as cinema verite in a way, because that person is playing themselves on camera. But it's largely a fiction film, and we've followed the grammar of a regular fiction film. It's just that you're seeing it's shot in a way that it looks real, because we're shooting in the jungle, we're shooting with natural light. We have a lot of people who are from that area, and you see that the acting is also in the same octave, like everybody is performing in a very realistic way. So maybe for somebody who's trained to seeing a certain kind of Hindi film may feel that there is something different about it, but I think there's a lot of examples of this kind of filmmaking world over.
Mm-hmm. Coming to another aspect which I really enjoyed about Newton and this film as well is this, your look into the bureaucracy. You get the government machinery bang on. Is it inherently an interest in you to kind of look at that world, or again, maybe the subjects dictated, but how did you approach that particular aspect to kind of lay bare that world? Astha, were you also somewhere intrigued by that, the bureaucratic kind of scenario that is very much there in the film as well?
I think, like you rightly said, I think being Indians, we are we're neck deep in bureaucracy. I think we understand it at every level, whether you go for an admission to the school for your own kid, or you go to your college to get admissions. Everywhere you face some sort of, a bureaucratic system, whether you like it or not, and you understand it really well. So in that sense, of course, there is a lot of humanity and a lot of humor also in bureaucracy, because you actually, once you see these people out of the system, they're also normal people who are trying to cope with a system that was probably is quite archaic and is trying to cope with the modern times as well. So in that, there's a lot of humor. So I wanted to focus on that. And also, I think in terms of when we talk about gender, and there's a huge disparity also in the bureaucratic system. And as a lot of people say, it's many systems are like a boys' club, and then how does a woman who is not really very strong and very angry all the time? How does a gentle person navigate this bureaucratic setup? Like, how does she go about it? I think that is what was interesting to me.
So this whole ecological balance and the human nature balance, and with that you're also talking about the man woman dynamics. You're talking about even the regional religious aspects, and kind of trying to see a sense of coexistence, which sadly is a kind of balance we are missing out on in our lives as well. So I assume, Astha, that was entirely your thought, your contribution to the film?
I think Amit and I discussed it, and we wanted to, like I said, that I didn't want the focus to be gender. When you look at the protagonist, she's struggling, but she also has immense power in the system that she is in over the other people that surround her, which is the villagers and the other people involved. So I didn't want it to make it just black and white about gender or religion or anything, but it was about how you sort of superimpose all these aspects and you look at them in totality, so that you're not focused on one specific thing, and you look at the greater machinery and how this environment actually survives. How do people get things done? And it's not often always the really strong-willed angry people. A lot of soft, gentle people make a lot of difference in this world. I think the focus was on the soft and gentle and caring, empathetic people making a huge difference in this world.
The story, from what I gather, is inspired from a real incident, the Avni, or no?
It's not really, because when I wanted to study conservation, first I started really, the topic was really broad. It was just like climate change and conservation, and it's a very broad topic, and it can be overwhelming to start studying that topic. So I thought that let's look at how climate change impacts everybody, but it doesn't impact everybody the same way. There are people who face everyday direct repercussions of climate change, and I wanted to study that, which is people who are involved, who live close to the forests, and the animals that are in the forest, and as the forest cover is shrinking, what is it doing to the dynamic that operates over there? So and when I started studying that, I realized that this is not just a phenomenon that happens here, it happens globally, whether you're talking about, the Amazonian forest, you're talking even within India, you're talking about Kerala and the elephants. And I think these cluster of issues that we have addressed in the film exist. They're universal to all these conflicts of this nature, whether you're talking about leopards or elephants or, lions, or whatever animal you're referring to, these clusters appear in all of those cases.
And when you study any of these cases, you will see a common pattern, and that common pattern is what you see in the film. It's the same story everywhere, and it's the same pattern that you are seeing in the film.
But the specificity of the hunt, the tigress, and also the fact that you have a woman officer, I mean, that gives an entirely, even though it may not have been your intent, but somewhere it gives an entirely different dimension to the film, right?
There are many women officers who've dealt with the same situation, and if you go in public domain and you start looking for it, it's not just here, but in other states as well, including states in the north, east, everywhere you'll see similar kind of stories. And it's a common
thing that
it's a common story. You have human deaths happening, you have an officer coming in trying to solve the issue, you have hunters coming in, so it's just that same pattern. So maybe these are coincidences that some people might have found in the film.
The focus for us was always conservation and the bigger picture, and
our focus was always very clear. Like, we wanted to make a film on conservation, and if you see the last scene of the film, that is the image that was most important to us. That is what we wanted the people to go back with.
Some things which kind of, when you're looking at the issue and the theme so intently, and we are talking about forests, when you are looking at it in a very real dimension, as the two of you have in terms of your writing and filmmaking, and the hunt, and the way things come a full circle. I mean, there is a lack of excitement. I mean, anybody who knows forest well, and I myself have had a little brush with it myself, with some people, some really close, family members having worked in the forest department. The hunt is not an exciting thing at the end of the day.
No.
You don't get answers and resolutions at the end of the day. How was it to approach such a thing in terms of filmmaking? Because you could have easily magnified it and made it into a real great adventure story also.
Yeah, so that was a very
Sorry, go
so
on.
that was something that was very deliberate, right from the writing stage to the stage where we got to do pre-production. All the HODs were in sync with this. In fact, when with Rakesh Haridas, the DOP, this was the main conversation, that we don't want to exoticize. We don't want to look at the jungles with a colonial perspective. We don't want it to look like a deep, dark, mysterious place full of danger, and that's why the way we were shooting it was also to show the jungle as Mother Nature, as somebody warm, open, welcoming, nurturing. And the same thing goes with the treatment of the film, with respect to using the music, the kind of music that we used. We didn't want the music to judge or be unnecessarily mysterious or suspicious, or and the same thing goes with the choices of not showing the tiger killing people, because we didn't want it to be a spectacle. We didn't want that to be death of a human being to be something that was for the entertainment of some people, because we read some of those comments that it would have been fun to see the tiger attacking people. Now that is disgusting to me. That is something I would never show. So these were the choices that led to making the film the way we made it. Like, we didn't want it to be about, we didn't want it to look like a thriller. It had to look real. It had to look the way it is in real life.
And I think we wanted to also kind of imitate the concept of time as it feels when you're actually looking for a tiger. We wanted to stick to that reality. Sometimes you walk for 6 hours, 7 hours, and you don't find anything, and then you start the next day. So there is a certain temperament and a lot of patience that's required to track an animal properly. So we wanted to stay true to that also.
But this filmmaking and sticking to this mode so assiduously as the two of you have also has a flip side, right? Because when you turn so real, somewhere an element of conflict, an element of drama, some kind of a tension which people are so used to seeing as as consumers of cinema, that also there's a danger of losing that. And I'm going to now get into one of the the critiques which I was reading offhand on Twitter. I think my friend Raja, wrote about how it is the cinematic equivalent of an article published in The Wire. Now, how do you respond to that? Because the lack of drama is something many people felt disappointed with, and the kind of the very righteous tone also somewhere took the tension away. Do you agree, or do you not? How did it ever occur to you that something like this may happen?
I think as a writer, what I can say is that the intent of the film has to be really clear to you. If you write or make a film with clear intent, and my intent was to explore the truth of what really happens in situations like this, I think I'm okay not being as exciting, because sometimes to make something exciting, you also have to let go of elements of truth. And in this particular writing, I wanted to hold on to the truth, even if it comes at a price, because I think to understand this whole system was more important to me than, creating an excitement. And by the end of the day, I think cinema is a language. Some people connect with it very deeply and some people don't find any meaning in it. And that's a good. I feel that's a good film. Like some people like it and some people don't. I think.
Amit, what do you have to say about it?
No, I agree with her. I feel that you can't please everybody with the same film. So it's okay if some people don't connect with it, because there are some people who do connect with it. So like Asta said, we wanted to treat it in a, like, we wanted to stick to what we felt was true at, while shooting it and editing it during the entire process, and we stuck to it, and that's why we are happy with the way it's turned out and the way that people are receiving it.
Mhm. In terms of the broader characters, the theme, the plot, was there any point, I mean, looking back, was there anything that you had to let go which you would have wanted? For me, for instance, the character of Vidya, there were many questions which I still have in my head about her. Some things which kind of were left hanging for me, when she talks about how she has changed. She's in the same as she was once upon a time in college when she's discussing. So I wanted answers to that. I mean, was there more to it, or did you have to let it go? Or did you not want to elaborate on it? A bit about that as well.
As a reader of fiction, we often, when we read a lot of male authors writing about women, I think in general in Indian cinema also, you feel that women are defined by the roles that they play, how good they are as mothers, daughters, sister, wife, etc. That plays into making the character more, validates the character. And in this film, it was a deliberate attempt to leave those questions unanswered, because the focus of the character was not her personal life. It was a facet of her life, and we showed some challenges where she, despite being a strong woman, she's struggling with those spaces, and that's okay, because that's how most people are. But the focus was on her as a forest officer trying to tackle this problem. So I didn't want to add too many dimensions to her personal life, because I didn't worry about making her likable as such. I think that I think she stands her own ground as a strong character who's really there with her heart in the right place. So it was a conscious decision to not dimensionalize that aspect of her life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Amit, you were saying something. Did I interrupt you?
No.
Yeah. No, so the other bit which I was also taken in with, that sometimes one felt that there was like too much of a black and white in the scenario as well, where some characters were really strong and good, whether it is Vidya or Vijayaraj, and then there are some like Pintu or say how does one put it? Like, there are some characters like Neeraj Kabir's character and Brijendra Kala, which I thought lent themselves to, lot many layers. But was it that the issue took kind of focus and these characters kind of took a backseat somewhere, the exploration of these characters?
Amit, you want to take this or should?
Yeah, so with respect to Neeraj Kabir's character, I think it was like when you first meet him, he's like the poster boy of the department, he's this really alpha, handsome silver fox, that was what we had in mind. And then you see him in the next scene where he's talking about environmental impact assessment. So he has his heart in the right place. But through that character, we wanted to talk about what a system does to somebody who starts off as an idealist, and maybe through the years, that person learns to make a few compromises due to his ambition. So that was the character of Nangia. He was an ambitious guy who does 80% of the things he does are right, you know. And it was a very gray character. I don't think, I mean, did you see the promotional material a lot before the film?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So basically, the idea was always to make Nangia into a person who is very layered, you know. It was never meant to be black or white. And the same thing goes for Bansal. Like Bansal is somebody who's this artist, you know, who's trapped in that job. You know, he likes singing, he likes poetry, and you know, he just wants to have a good time. He really enjoys hanging out with people and entertaining them. And he's just somebody who's trapped in this job, and he's just waiting for those 4 or 5 years before he retires. And that was the character. And I don't think he was black or white either. He was a gray character. He was a pretty likable guy. His department people like him, you know, and he's not somebody who's evil or anything.
And I think when we talk about a very aggressive and patriarchal system, men like Bansal don't fare too well either, because they are not the alphas like Nangia who can hold their ground, you know. So it's when we talk about patriarchy, it doesn't just affect women, it affects men also. So he's also a guy who's who's struggling to sort of, you know, be heard in a system that doesn't value guys who are not classically the hero archetype, you know. So that is also his dimension. So I think all of the characters, whether it's Vidya's character or whether it's everybody's character has shades of gray, and they have their struggles, and they're not perfect human beings. And we didn't want to kind of even depict them as that. You know, we have tried to make them as layered as possible as individuals.
And yet there is, you know, there is this idealism, and an idealism which is also defined in a very practical construct, you know, where it does get defeated and where it does continue. That sense of continuum is also there, you know. Again, I find that a universal thing across all your films, Amit, you know, that the protagonists somewhere are idealistic in their own mind space and their own world. They may not be successful, you know, and yet they continue. Is that something which engages you as a filmmaker, or, you know, am I just stepping back and seeing the 3 films from a distance and reading into them, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just that, because it wasn't a conscious decision to, you know, make that a pattern. But if you look at Sherni, it's also about the big picture, you know. Like initially we did have a draft in which there was some sense of justice happening. But then, Asta, do you want to talk about why we changed it?
Yeah. So basically, you know, initially we did think that we will give the character some closure by the end of the 3rd act. We should probably, you know, arrive at some sort of a hopeful conclusion. And then the pandemic took place, and we started thinking about how climate change affects, you know, our survival, even in terms of when you talk about a pandemic. I mean, it's climate change and pandemics are also closely related. And I started thinking about the big picture, and then I think it was important to leave the audience with a question that, you know, if we don't personally, all of us get involved in the acts of conservation and start talking about climate change and taking steps, that we'll not be left with anything, because once the forests are gone, then no matter how many trees you plant, these will just be plantations, you know, there'll be little parks, but a real forest can never come back. It takes thousands and thousands of years to come to life. So we wanted to leave the audience with a pressing question that if we don't act now, then we'll only be left with animals that are not alive and not in their natural habitat. And, you know, we'll have a voyeuristic way of approaching, you know, all that is around us. We'll not be left with anything.
One last bit, you know, this whole what kind of strikes me the most about the film, that, you know, this whole sense of quietude with which you make a strong point, again part of a conscious design of the writing and the filmmaking.
Yeah, I think for me, somebody who's worked, around energy and sustainability earlier myself, I think there are two types of people. There are people who want immediate results, who are very result oriented. They're very ambitious. They want the outcome of their work to show immediately. And then there are process oriented people who actually see the big picture, and they realize that change is a very slow process. To change people's minds takes a lot of time. To change people's attitude to things takes a lot of time. And they have a different feedback mechanism. They have a different way of assessing the success or failure. It's not based on this one thing that they make an effort towards. That they can look at the big picture, and they don't need a wah, shabash, very good job. They don't need that. They have a purpose, and they are patient with it, and they know that building systems, building community networks, all these things are as important as more important than immediate results. So that was the philosophy that we were also trying to kind of bring into the film.
Mm-hmm. So this whole grassroots idealism, grassroots activism that I felt strongly in the last two films, Amit and Astha, are we going to see this more, or are you going to branch into something else from now on?
I think grassroots level work is the most important work when we talk about conservation. I don't think any conservation efforts can even work without grassroots level engagement. And grassroots level models like local healthcare, local mental health care, these community efforts have worked so well all across India. And when we are looking at creating a model for conservation, I think this is the way to go about it. And that is why we thought in terms of this film, it's a very important point to bring up, that you cannot bring change by excluding the people that are on the receiving end of climate change. You cannot exclude them from conversations, and you can't make them invisible. That was really important to us.
Mm-hmm. Amit, do you have anything to add to it?
No, I agree with what she said. These were things that we had, that were in our mind when we were making the film. We had to show that you need to involve people, because conservation is not a hero-driven process. You need to involve an entire community, and they need to put in effort and time. So
your research versus your actual shoot, how was the time allocation happening there? I presume you would have spent a lot of time on ground to get your subject, get that cracking.
See, I think Astha already, she knew a lot about the subject because of her work, and also when this particular, when we started working on this particular film, there was a lot of research that was put in, and I think we did it over a period of around 5 or 6 months before we started shoot. And it continued, and it's not just writing research. All the various department heads were doing their own research. Like art department was doing their own research, costumes were doing their own research. So all these various people were working on their field. So it was a lot of different people working on different aspects of the filmmaking process simultaneously.
But it all came together extremely well. Thanks so much for the film, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
And bestest in the efforts ahead. I hope the film travels well, reaches out to as many people and countries all over. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you.
Thank you very much.